If you want to send a story into my channel for me to make a video on, this is kind of just a guide on like how to do that, and also some other information such as like how long it will take and stuff like that. I've been sending quite a few subscriber stories at this point. I think around like 14 of them or so at this point. So with my channel growing quite a bit recently, and also me being basically out of my personal stories, I figured I'd make this guide sooner rather than later. So the first part of this video will be about actually sending the story in. If you got an experience that you think would be a pretty cool story for me to tell on the channel, your biggest priority will be actually telling me about it. Now, in the description of all my videos are two links. Links to my Sean the Shark Instagram account and my Discord server. With Instagram, what you gotta do is give me a follow and then just send me a message with your story. Now on Discord, basically you'll join my server, which will then give you access to my Discord account, which you can then DM me to tell me your story. Now, one important thing to note is that I'm not really online too much. I just prefer doing other things such as exercising and socializing, which may be a little bit weird for a YouTuber, but that's just who I am. And when I am online, I'm usually just watching YouTube, so I'm not really on Instagram or Discord too much. I'd say I check both platforms like once a day at most, so don't expect me to respond to you instantly because I'm just not online that much. Anyways, when I am online on both platforms, I'll receive your story as a message request, and whether I accept it or not is up to me. In most cases, I'll accept the message. I don't really see any reason why I wouldn't, unless it's like obvious spam or something. Now, when I get the story, I'll tell you one of two things. Either that I like the story and that I'm interested in telling it on the channel, or that is not quite the type of story I'm looking for. If it's the second option, I want to make it clear that it's nothing personal at all. It's simply that the story you told me could have an issue with it. I may not think the story would be very entertaining, which would result in a not so good video. The story could also be too explicit or R-rated, as I'm trying to stay PG-13 on here. I'd still really appreciate the DM, as well as the thought of sending one in. But at the end of the day, the story just isn't the type that I'm looking for. If I do like the story, which would be most of the time, I'll add it to my list. I have a Google Doc where I keep track of everyone who sent me a story, and every time I get a new story that I would like to make a good video on, I'll add it to the list. On my channel, it is usually first come, first serve. That's really the only way to keep it fair. As of right now, I have 5 stories on the list, and each one I will get to eventually, but story number 1 was sent to me first, and story number 5 was the most recent one sent in. Once I start working on your story, I'll constantly keep you updated on my progress. I'll let you know when I have a thumbnail, when I have a title, how the script's coming along, and my plans to record. I'll give you constant updates on how the development on the video is going. After I actually upload the video, I'll start working on the next video. The only time the story order could possibly change is if something happens to me that I think would be a good story. My own personal stories do obviously take priority over the subscribers' stories. If I'm already working on a subscriber story, I'll finish the one I'm working on, and then I'll work on my own story next. As of right now, most of my personal stories have been told on the channel. There are a few stories I don't really want to tell on the channel till I'm a bit older, but other than that, there's nothing that hasn't happened to me which I haven't told, and if something does happen, I'll make a video on it as soon as possible. So that's really all I wanted to say for anyone curious about sending in subscriber stories. I'll see you guys in the next one.